Boy howdy, am I ready to get home and have a little breakdown. I want to intimidate men. Actually, I'm a lawyer. Yeah, that's kind of my main goal. Hi there, my name's Legia. I'm a real life lawyer on a mission to demystify the law and how it affects your everyday life. Today, however, we're gonna do something a little bit different because you guys, we hit 10,000 subscribers. In fact, we're at like almost 14,000. What? So I'm gonna do something a little bit different this week and do a little Ask Me Anything. A little AMA with your lawyer pal, Legia. So in case you missed it, I made a call for questions on my Instagram, so don't miss my Instagram next time. I also called for questions here on YouTube. So I'm just gonna go in no specific order through these. Let's see what we learn, all right? What are the top 3 characteristics and or personality traits you think every lawyer should have? First, I'll say that I think it's good that lawyers bring different characteristics and personality traits to the table. I think what makes lawyers great is actually the team they're working with. Even the best lawyers in the world couldn't have done it alone. So I would say that there isn't specifically certain traits that you have to be a lawyer. I will say that there are certain things that I've found to be helpful. One of them is having a level of emotional maturity where you can zealously argue for your side of whatever argument you're making, but also you can be cordial with the other opposing counsel, with someone who thinks differently than you or someone who is arguing something against you. You have to be able to support your client while also maintaining that rapport. A lot of lawyers don't do this, and you can be a perfectly successful lawyer without doing this, but I've always personally admired the ones who can get in front of a judge, do an amazing oral argument, and then after, while they're leaving the court, just be like shooting the shit with opposing counsel. I think that's admirable. I think that makes someone just a pleasant person generally, but it also means that you're able to see the other side's argument without getting blinded by your passion or rage, which is helpful in formulating your own arguments. A second important trait that I think is helpful for any attorney to have is patience. Change does not happen overnight, especially in our legal system, but also just generally speaking. Also, the legal process is just long and there's a lot of minutia that can get kind of boring. You have to read a lot. Like, you have to just be patient and work with the process. And then trait number 3, which not every lawyer has, but I think is important, is a sense of humor. You can't take yourself too seriously. I mean, obviously there are areas of the law that are literally life or death, and those should be taken seriously, but taking yourself too seriously is going to mean that you are not actually thinking about your client and what the client that you're serving needs, but instead you're just thinking about yourself and if you're being perfect and how you're performing. To have a sense of humor and not take yourself too seriously makes you a stronger attorney. Oh boy, okay. First off, congrats on the 10K. I just want to know your worst day of law school. Oh boy howdy, let me tell you what. So your first year of law school is just notoriously the hardest year, and my worst day of law school certainly happened during my first year in my first semester. So during first semester, it was midterms time. We were all very stressed because it was the first time that we were really trying to prove ourselves in the law school setting, and it kind of, at least in our minds at that point, felt like it was going to set the tone for our entire legal career and the rest of our lives. I was stressed. I was feeling the pressure. I definitely took myself way too seriously first year of law school. Everything felt like the end of the world, and if I didn't do as well as humanly possible, then I was going nowhere in life and I was never going to be successful. That's not an incorrect feeling. I think law school makes you feel that way because everything feels like the end of the world, and if you don't perform well your first year, that can be outcome determinative for like the types of jobs that you're able to get later. Not necessarily, but it can. And so I was real on edge. One thing about law school, especially the first year, is it kind of feels like high school all over again. Like, a lot of schools, you're assigned a locker because you're kind of expected to live at the school. You're in a really small cohort of people and you all kind of know each other's business, and it's kind of messy. I have social anxiety generally. Legia, why are you willingly making videos of yourself on the internet if you have social anxiety? Well, I don't have social anxiety when I'm looking at this camera. Like, it's not like I am thinking too hard about the fact that I'm talking to like 14,000 people now. So I have social anxiety. I have been to a lot of therapy though, and I feel like I've learned some tools to, cope and navigate the social anxiety that I have. However, I did find that when I was in this new, really stressful situation in a new city I didn't know, with a bunch of new people that I didn't know, that a lot of my social anxiety that I thought I had gotten rid of or dealt with was coming back. Because what's funny about anxiety is that you can't just like get rid of it, you just have to learn how to cope with it. The coping mechanisms that I'd had weren't really working, and so I was just feeling horrific social anxiety in every social situation. On top of that, I made the I would say, poor decision to try to date someone that I was in my first year of law school with. They say don't do it, and yet, look, it was a new situation, it was a new setting, it was new people, it was exciting. A lot of people meet their significant other in law school, so I was like, maybe I can find that here too. But man, oh man, when you're experiencing just a generally higher level of social anxiety and then trying to date someone new on top of it in a setting where it feels like high school and everyone knows your business and a lot of people are really judgmental of people who try to date while in law school, boy howdy, does that make your anxiety increase. So on this day, I'd just taken a midterm, and then afterwards we had gone to the pub down the street to celebrate, because that's what you do your first year of law school. But I had like maybe a beer because again, I was feeling really anxious and like it wasn't going well with this guy. There was not good communication happening and I was so confused and just an absolute ball of anxiety. I could feel a panic attack arising inside of me that needed to come forth. But I was like, okay, if I leave now, I can get home and I can have this little panic attack in private. My favorite thing to do is to hold it all in while you're in public and then find your private space and then just kind of explode and let it all out. I don't know if anyone else is in that boat, but that's what I have a tendency to do. And so I was very much looking forward to going home and having a little cry. And I was in Boston because that's where my law school was, and I got off the T and I was walking back to my house. It was like an 8-minute walk from the T stop to where I lived, but you had to cross this very busy road to get to my house from the T stop. I don't know if you've ever been to Boston, but holy crap, they're bad at driving there. It's aggressive. They don't follow any rules. All laws are only suggestions when on the road in Boston. People literally drive the wrong way down one-ways. They park facing the wrong direction on streets, run red lights. They will go at like full speed and then just like come to a screeching halt when there is a red light. It's terrifying. I'm Midwestern, so we have our own issues with driving, and it's like the opposite end of that spectrum of overly cautious to the point of being dangerous, and I try not to do that, but like East Coast driving is another thing. So just to set the scene, Boston drivers are terrible. So I was going to cross the street, this very busy intersection. I had a little white walk sign, and I had my backpack full of books because law books are like this thick and weigh 10 pounds each, and you've got like 12 of them and they all cost $400. And so I had like 3 of these huge books in my big backpack, and I'm crossing the street just like, boy howdy, am I ready to get home and have a little breakdown. And a guy comes at me to make a left-hand turn into the lane where I was walking, and I see him and I think he sees me, but he does not, and he does not slow down, and I see that he is coming for me. And luckily I am near the curb, so I kind of lunge out of the way of his moving vehicle. And so luckily the only thing that hit me was his rear view mirror, and it just barrels into my shoulder. I yelp, and as it's hitting me, the centrifugal force of the weight in my backpack sends me spinning backwards and around into the center median, and then I fell backwards onto my back like a stink bug that's been upended. Rush hour, very public intersection. Everyone saw it. I immediately break down. I start having my panic attack that I was waiting for seclusion to have on that center median, on that intersection in the middle of Boston. I am weeping. I am gasping. I am screaming at this guy who did not stop suddenly enough. He was not as concerned about my safety as he should have been. He continued to drive about 15 feet as though he was considering the idea of just continuing to drive on. But he did stop. He pulled over, and then he kind of casually walked over to me as I am lying on the ground sobbing. And as he's doing this, I get enraged because first of all, I had the walk signal. He should have seen me, and he does not seem concerned about my well-being. So I start screaming at him.
What the hell is your problem? Did you not freaking see me? Are you fucking stupid? I was walking. I'm a pedestrian. I had the right of way. You're a fucking idiot. What the fuck is your problem?
I lost it. There was a traffic cop right there when I got hit. So he had gotten out already and was coming my way. He was concerned that I'd hit my head or something because clearly I was having a breakdown that was far beyond the pain in my body that I was feeling. Like my shoulder hurt for sure, but like I did not suffer any serious injury, thank God. But I was beside myself. Oh my God, I totally forgot this part. While I was still lying on the ground in the center median, a ambulance and a fire engine, like a full fire truck, show up to my rescue. with this traffic cop. Paramedic talks to me. I'm like, I didn't hit my head. I'm just having an awful day and I'm freaking out and I'm just upset and it was really scary. The cop pulls us over, takes this guy's information. Of course, this guy works for the freaking cops. And he was like, look, lady, this guy that hit me with his moving vehicle was like, I'm sorry that you're having such a bad day. Like, I don't know what happened to you before this, but I'm really sorry. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Freaked out again, and the traffic cop that was taking the report had to be like, all right, okay. Then I was clearly still shaken, so the cop put me in the back of his squad car, and I was driven the 3 blocks back to my home in the back of a squad car, like cage at the window, police car, drove me back home, deposited me on my sidewalk, and then I walked up my stairs and into my apartment and then proceeded to finally have the private breakdown that I had been hoping for, but for very different reasons. So first semester, 1L year, midterms, I also got hit by a car. So yeah, that definitely takes the cake as worst day of law school. Thanks for asking. Ooh, since she is always beat for every appearance, what hair/makeup/clothing brands are you most loyal to? Thank you so much. Honestly, for as much time and effort as I spend on my hair, not today, but like being this blonde takes a lot of effort. I'm not particularly loyal to any sort of hair brand. I tend to gravitate towards a type of product over a brand, which is not like me usually, but for hair, it's just kind of like whatever my hairstylist suggests. So I use leave-in conditioner and a hair oil, a couple hair oils to just try and revive some life into the death that is on top of my head. And then in terms of shampoo and conditioner, I feel like I've been in flux. I just started using Prose, so it's like specially formulated for my hair type, and it's fine. I'm not mad about it. It smells nice, so for now, I'm gonna keep using it. But like for a long time, I was using Hair Story actually, which is a kind of like no poo shampoo where it doesn't strip anything. There's no conditioner. It's just that because it's so conditioning, and I did like that. I might go back to that now that I'm talking about it because it was really moisturizing and it helped the frizziness in my hair, which has been awful because it's been so humid in Minnesota. So, thanks for asking, because now I'm thinking I might go back to Hair Story. For makeup, I am a diehard, and I mean diehard fan of Jamie Genevieve on here. I don't know why. Like, I'm not a makeup artist. I do the same makeup every time, but for whatever reason, I watch her religiously. I watch all of her vlogs. I think she's gorgeous. I think she's cool. Like, I want to be her. I want to be her friend, and I want to look exactly like her. So I do whatever she tells me to do. She is very good at her job. She has influenced me to buy a lot of things. For my on-camera makeup, I have a different set of things that I use, but for my like everyday glam, pretty dewy makeup, I use exactly what she tells me to, which is like Charlotte Tilbury tinted moisturizer, this like really pretty shiny stuff that you put on your face. I'm gonna put it right here because I don't remember what it's called. You kind of mix that up on your face, and then I actually use a Benefit highlighter and Benefit brow pencil and gel setter. So, oh yeah, and I use their what is this called? Bronzer. I use their bronzer as well. So I use Benefit bronzer, highlighter, and eyebrow stuff. So I would say I'm pretty strongly a Benefit girl in that category. I just started using Lash Freak mascara. Again, Jamie Genevieve recommendation, and it's great. And I also use Revita Lash. I've started using Revita Lash, and like my eyelashes, you guys, I don't know if you can tell, but they're looking pretty good. I was very skeptical for a long time because it takes a while. So for the first like 2 months, I was like, this is trash. This is expensive trash, but like things are happening. I would say honestly, I am more loyal to my skincare than I am to my makeup, because I feel like if you have a good solid skincare routine, then whatever you put on top of it is going to look that much better. So for my skincare routine, I used to use a ton of serums. I went all out, I went over the top, and then I realized one day that it was like dumb and that people had already made these formulations professionally before that I can just use, that are professionally made to blend together, because I was having pilling problems. And it was taking me forever, and I was buying like a million different serums from The Ordinary, which like, if they're $8, can they really be that good? I'm skeptical. So I cut back a bunch, and now I only use a very small handful of products. In the morning, I use a Murad Essential C moisturizer because it's a combo that is exactly what I want in the mornings. It's a moisturizer, it's an SPF, and it's a vitamin C serum all in one, and it's all formulated to work together. So I just slap that on. I don't wash my face in the mornings, slap that on, good to go. And then in the evenings, I wash my face with a Burt's Bees oil cleanser, and then just like a basic gentle face wash if I have makeup on that I need like an extra wash to remove. And then I use a Neutrogena retinol, which is like pretty good quality and 25 bucks according to dermatologists. I don't know. I like it. I've noticed differences in just my skin texture. I would eventually like to start going to a dermatologist and get like a prescription type retinol just to like really amp it up, especially because I'm almost a 30-year-old lady, you know? And then I put just a CeraVe night cream over it, like a nice thick layer. And if I'm really needing moisture, like if it's the dead of winter, I'll then also add just a layer of shea butter, because why not, you know? I tend towards the dry side, so I just really cake on the moisture, and then I also drink a lot of water. Thank you to everyone who comments on my skin all the time on here. I think a lot of it has to do with the lights. They make me look a lot better than it actually looks. I mean, I look pretty damn dewy today, not gonna lie. I'll link all those products down below. What was the best time you used your law degree to get back or put someone in their place? Unfortunately, I have not had the pleasure of doing that quite yet, though I know what you're talking about, and I do look forward to a time when I can be like, actually, I'm a lawyer, and just be a real dick about it. I'm also looking forward to when this personal pan pizza is all over and I can go into a bar and maybe someone will ask like, oh, what do you do? And I'll be like, I'm an attorney, and they'll be like, ooh, especially if it's a man. Like I want to intimidate men by being able to say, oh, I'm an attorney. Yeah, that's kind of my main goal, because it's also shocking. Like I remember before I decided to go to law school, I met a guy who was like 28, hot, and a lawyer, and I was like, wait, you can look like that and be a lawyer at the same time? Surprise, you can. When I watched your Drag Race video, I could not believe your channel was 10K only. You make content that resembles the quality of someone who has like hundreds of thousands of followers. Thank you. Anyways, hope to see more of your recent videos blowing up to this magnitude. Educate us about the intricacies of the law more, mother. I love it. What other career do you think you would have gone into if you weren't a lawyer? That's very interesting, and I have many thoughts on this. Listen, I saw this TikTok the other day, and yes, all of my stories lately are starting with, I saw this TikTok the other day. TikTok is a lovely platform, and I feel like I learned so much on it. Yes, it's also burning a lot of my brain cells, but I love it. A person was talking about how they say you have like 7 different careers throughout your life, and like, what a special thing that you are able to have so many different lifetimes you can live within your one life. And that's kind of how I view it. Like, I'm excited about being in the law. I'm excited about having gone to law school, but I'm not married to the idea of being a lawyer forever. We'll see, but I understand that I have a lot of whims and a lot of interests that might pull me in other directions. See, for example, this YouTube channel. Because of that, there's a lot of different directions that my life could have gone in. I thought about being a music producer, took some classes, realized that it was not a good fit and didn't do that. So I've gone down a lot of paths that haven't worked. I also worked as a part-time freelance photographer before going to law school, which I enjoyed, but also it didn't love for me. I think I needed more structure, and like setting a price for your art is really weird, and I didn't like that. I've often daydreamed about going to the south of France and apprenticing with like a breadsmith and learning how to bake bread, and then coming back to the US and like opening a bakery and just waking up every morning at 4 a.m. and just like slapping loaves, you know? That sounds lovely. I also was a classically trained opera singer for about 6 or 7 years in high school, and I thought about doing that for a while, and I do miss singing, and I think might start taking like vocal lessons and doing more of that technical vocal work again sometime soon. As a career, I don't know, maybe. Like, you know, I'm constantly daydreaming about it because it is something that's like, I have so many interests, and they always say like jack of all trades, master of none, and I think that's a stupid saying. I don't like that saying. I prefer like Renaissance man or Renaissance woman, because it's like, there's so many cool things in the world to learn about. I don't want to hyper specialize in one area. I'm excited about the law and I love talking about the law, but even within the niche of the law, I have wide interests because I just want to learn it all. That's what motivates me, is what's interesting and what's drawing my attention. I've also thought about being a writer. I would love to be a writer. I've thought about being a teacher, probably not of children because not my vibe, but like college level. You know, there's a lot of directions that life can take, and I am open to all of them because I have a lot of varying interests that I enjoy exploring. What type of law do you practice? Do you enjoy it? Tips for starting law school. I practice intellectual property. Specifically, I mostly focus on trademark litigation. So if someone is infringing someone else's trademark and they need to sue them, or they're getting sued, then, you know, I help with that. Or if someone is trying to register their trademark with the federal government, I help with that. I help analyze whether a mark is available on the market, etc. I have also dabbled in copyrights and trade secret law and things like that. So it's all kind of in the intellectual property realm. I really enjoy it. I picked it because it has a creative spin to it that a lot of areas of law don't. Like, I'm literally thinking about logos, visual representations of brands, and whether they're similar to other visual representations of brands or words, how they're similar. It's very subjective. I enjoy that aspect of it. A lot of times clients are more on the marketing side of things, so they tend to be a little bit more creative sometimes. In terms of tips for starting law school, I think I'm just going to direct you to my everything I wish I knew before starting law school video, because I delve into some more detail there that I'm not going to get into here. And I think I said everything I have to say in that video. Do you speak any other languages besides legalese? I do. I speak English, and then I also speak Spanish. I studied abroad in South America, in Chile, and in Peru during my junior year for about 10 months. You seem like a woman who says it like she means it and know how to put greasy men in their place. Have you always been this real? Oh boy. No. Yes, kind of. I've always been this real, like I've always been blunt. I have not always been great at putting men in their place. And honestly, now I would say I do it less than I did in my early 20s. In my early 20s, I spent a lot of time arguing with men in bars because they would say a thing and it would be offensive and I would call them out on it. And then it would be me yelling at them, me getting worked up, me getting anxious and mad and spending a lot of energy and time and my vocal cords yelling at them, while they would sit there kind of laughing me off, telling me to calm down, like not getting it clearly. And then I would leave the interaction and fume about it for days. And I can almost guarantee you they completely forgot about it within 20 minutes. And so I spent a lot of time in my early 20s doing this because I was on a mission, because I needed to rid the world of bad men, because I was a feminist and it was my duty to speak up anytime a man said something that was offensive. But you know who that affects most of all? Me. Takes up my energy, takes up space in my brain. It was exhausting. So I finally got to a point where I realized, like, oh, I'm the only one who's being affected by me getting all worked up every time a man says something dumb. A lot of men say a lot of dumb things. I could spend my entire life fighting them in bars and it would only make the teeniest dent, if any. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell them all you want about how what they've said is problematic for X, Y, and Z, but like, if they don't care, which they probably don't because they said it in the first place, like, you're not gonna change their mind in that bar that Friday night while they're already like 3 Bud Lights in. You know what I mean? I made the promise to myself to no longer waste energy on men who are clearly hopeless. I don't give men the time of day who do not prove themselves worthy of it. Full stop. That's been the most empowering thing I've ever done when it came to greasy men. So take that, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Which Spice Girl are you? Baby Spice. The baby of my family. As much as I project maybe an intimidating presence, when it comes to my family and my personal relationships, I am baby. Do you want to stay in Minnesota? Yes, I do. I have left Minnesota numerous times, and yet I keep coming back. I went to undergrad at Vassar in New York, and then I came back for 3 years, and then I left to go to law school in Boston, and it was when I was in Boston that I was like, no, I think Minnesota's it. And I lived abroad too for a year. I've had the experience of leaving enough to know that, like, this is my place. I actually just bought a house here, so like I'm staying. I'm not interested in going anywhere. Also, I think people are starting to realize how overrated the coasts are. I think we're going to see a lot of exodus from like New York and LA and San Francisco going forward. I think we're already starting to see it. I think Gen Z is getting it more than millennials are, where they're like, wait, like there are cool cities outside of the coasts and they're way the hell cheaper to live in. I got a couple astrology questions. So one woman asked which astrology sign would be the best lawyer, and then I got another one on Instagram. What are my top 3, my sun, rising, and moon signs? So let's dive into A little astrology here. My astrology is I am a Capricorn sun, I am a Leo rising, and I am a Gemini moon. And if you think about it, that makes perfect sense. Most lawyers, I would wager a bet, are Capricorns. They're very analytical, they're very perfectionist, they're very money driven, they're very ambitious generally speaking, and they like to be in positions within society that are established as prestigious positions, for better or for worse. These are all just general Capricorn traits that some of them I fall into more than others. Leo rising, your rising sign is what you present to the world. Leo is like loves the spotlight and is super outgoing and loves people. So I am an introverted Capricorn through and through, but what you think that I am is an extroverted Leo, because that's what I'm projecting to you. And of course, it makes perfect sense that I am a lawyer on the internet making videos. Like, I am a Capricorn sun, Leo rising. Makes sense. And then my Gemini moon means that I cannot commit to like an aesthetic, and anytime I get a new idea, I have to run with it, and I get like really laser focused on it and really excited about it until I get bored and like something else distracts me, and then I go down that path. Do Capricorns make the best lawyers? No, I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of traits about other signs that lend themselves better to being lawyers. I think you can be a great lawyer and a Capricorn, but I think that a lot of the bad rap that lawyers get might be because a lot of them are Capricorns. Can you talk more about the college admission scandal for a video? I can't. All I can say is that I was an intern at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston in the fall of 2018, and I signed some non-disclosure agreements and other confidentiality things with the federal government. And so that's all I will say about that. What celeb would you most like to represent in any specialty, not just IP? Honestly, like, I feel very drawn to like being an LA divorce attorney. I don't know why. There's one, I can't remember her name, I'll pop it right here. She is like known for being the celebrity divorce attorney, and like it seems really glamorous, and like you would get all the inside scoop. And I know that's not an answer. I don't really know what's celebrity. The joy of that job would be that like I would work with a bunch of them and I would get all the juiciest gossip out of that. So celebrity divorce attorney, maybe in another life. Sounds really fun. Do you have any Finnish ancestry as far as you know? I do not. I am German. I am very German. That's about all I know. Regarding your time in Boston, mics or modern? Modern. For the last one, we'll wrap it up with what inspired you to start explaining law on YouTube? It's something that I had been thinking about doing for a really long time. It's something that I felt there was a hole in the online community, that there wasn't like, you know, a sassy lady attorney explaining things well. Obviously there are other people doing it too, but like I knew that I had a unique voice and something different to bring to the table. On top of that, I feel like the overarching theme throughout my experience applying for law school, going to law school, and then becoming a lawyer is how unnecessarily complicated and obtuse everything is in the law. It's hard to get in. There's a ton of barriers to entry just getting into law school. It's expensive, and then it's hard, unnecessarily so in a lot of ways. And then the actual legal topics that you talk about, the way that lawyers talk about them and that academics talk about them is really inaccessible to people. And I felt that about like all my academic experience. Like, I understand what I'm reading, but like, what's the point of writing it this way? Who are you trying to address? And a lot of times it's just academics trying to impress other academics by sounding really smart. And that doesn't really serve the greater good. There are a lot of academics doing great work, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying is that my passion is making the law more accessible to people. Access to justice, like access to attorneys who will represent you, is one thing. And I'm not saying that what I'm teaching on this channel is going to allow you to practice law. My goal is to talk about issues that are interesting to people and then explain how the law works in the situation, and especially do it in a format that is entertaining. You could sit and you could read a long form article in The Atlantic if you wanted to. The number of people who do that though is pretty slim, and so I'm trying to figure out a way to bring the law to the masses, a just generally higher, heightened understanding of how the system works. Even if it is on a kind of bird's eye level, we're not getting into the weeds of the technicalities of the practice of law here, because that is something that you become specialized in if you do actually practice law. But here we're just trying to figure out, like, why does it work that way? Why does the system function this way? Who made it this way? And I think that that's a really powerful way to then also dissect the intricacies of the system, make it accessible for people, and then also point out its shortcomings, because I think it's really easy to get really into the weeds of the technicality of law, and then you miss the forest for the trees, and you don't step back and say, like, why does it even function like this? Who is this serving and why? And so I think there's a ton of really big, interesting questions that you can get at when looking at, you know, the scandal with Bon Appetit, or like Lizzo's lawsuits, or, you know, reacting to Aaron Brockovich. These are really fun ways to get at issues in a way that people are actually going to be able to relate with and want to learn about, and that a lot of the times academics make unnecessarily complicated just for the sake of it. And I think it's a bunch of bullshit. Like, it's exclusionary, and I think it overcomplicates things that don't need to be made that complicated. Because again, we're not practicing law here, we're just trying to learn about the system and why it works the way it works. So clearly I could go on and on about it. I'm passionate about it. I'm excited about this channel and where it can go. Thank you for being patient with me. I know that I am not always putting out a new video every single week. I wish that I was, but practicing law full-time while also doing a YouTube channel is insane. Why am I doing this? But it's really fun. I'm just doing the best that I can with the time and energy that I have, especially given this pandemic and all the other things going on in my life right now. But I'm excited about the direction that this channel is going. And thank you guys so much for subscribing and continuing to subscribe and watching and commenting and being so nice. And like, it's very special. I feel really excited. And I think there's a lot more to do, and a lot to say, and a lot to learn, and a lot to think about and talk about on this channel. So, and thank you guys so much for subscribing and caring and showing up for me, and I'll continue to show up for you as best that I can. Don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button if you haven't yet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.